Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.
Good morning everyone. Okay, so yes, today we will have discussion of 23rd October, the Hindu newspaper. First of all, we'll have a look at important articles in the newspaper. We'll understand the context of these articles, then we'll discuss all these articles one by one in detail. Okay, yes, so look at the first page. India weighs net zero target ahead of COP. Okay, so we know that next month there will be COP26 at Glasgow, UK. And yes, yesterday we talked about our Prime Minister is going to visit and attend this summit personally or in physical manner, we can say. Okay, so yes, though we can say that up till now we have not given any commitment regarding net zero emissions, but India is still considering that. Okay, these countries, European countries, US, they are actually continuously pressurizing India to, let's say, provide the target deadlines for net zero emissions, right? But India has not given up till now. India may announce that directly in the summit itself, okay? Or we can expect that if the conditions that India may put forward before the developed countries, if they are satisfied, then only India will provide such kind of targets. Okay, so we'll look into this particular topic. What do you mean by net zero emissions? That can be asked in the prelims examination also. Okay. Then on page number 4, see on page number 3 there is article, right? It's our home. Where will we go? Ask Pakistani Hindu families staying in a camp. See, yes, they migrated into India and now they are staying over or beyond their legal stay. Okay, so basically they are not given citizenship of India. They are illegally staying. Still, we can understand that the government is now going to relocate them. This is what the central government has submitted the affidavit in the High Court, that they are encroaching defense land. A similar kind of thing recently happened. Are you aware about that? NGT had ordered removal of these families from basin of Yamuna. Some of these Pakistan-based refugees, or we can say migrants, they overstayed in India and they are to be removed. The order was given by NGT. Okay, so again the concerns related to, we can say, humanity versus citizen. Dilemma is there, na? Right? So they are not citizen, but there is, let's say, the humanity that we need to ensure the dignity and respect of these individuals. Right? So that dilemma, there can be case study on this. Okay, so like you are the person responsible for relocation and rehabilitation of these people. How will you approach? What are the ethical issues? Such kind of case study, I guess previous year we have discussed, Ansari sir discusses such kind of case studies in the case study batch. Okay, yes. Then on page number 4 on bottom side, Amar falcons in Manipur for annual migration. Okay, so Amar falcons, they are visiting the country. They are migratory birds. In winter, they visit the northeastern states of Manipur and Nagaland. Okay, so we should be aware about the species now. There was one question, if you are aware in prelims examination, that if you are traveling in the peninsular India and the grasslands, which kind of bird species you will come across? Suppose there is question like you are traveling in the northeast India, which kind of birds you come across in the winter, suppose they are specifically mentioned, right? That such kind of question can be there, right? So use your available knowledge now. They are visiting from Siberian region, they are passing through India, they will ultimately visit during the winter to Africa. So we will try to know about that. The article also mentions about Sangai, Bro antler deer of Manipur. Okay, and its last refuge in Loktak Lake, the Fumdis, floating organic matters This was asked by UPSC. Lamjau National Park is there. It is mentioned in the article. Kaibul Lamjau National Park. Okay, so we'll try to get the basic information about all this. It is important from geography and environment perspective. Okay, on page number 6, two important articles. Lead article, development that is mindful of nature. Now, the article in detail explains about how landscape is changing in Kerala, or land use pattern is changing in Kerala, and how it is resulting into the environmental disasters like floods and landslides. Since last 3 years, a similar kind of events are happening continuously in Kerala, and we have to find the root causes for that. The experts are explaining how land use change pattern is affecting or resulting into such kind of environmental hazards. So UPSC is asking specific question. Last year they asked urban floods in Hyderabad and Pune. Specifically they asked the mentioning of cities. So we are expecting, they asked always about Himalayan states, right? The ecology of Himalayan states and all these things. So we can expect the question regarding Western Ghats. We have witnessed the flooding situation in Maharashtra, Raigad district this year during monsoon, and now during October, that happened during July. Excess rainfall that resulted into landslides, also flooding situation in Raigad district, Western Ghats only, Maharashtra. A similar kind of situation we are witnessing in October now in Kerala. Okay, so either question can be overall on Western Ghats or specifically for Kerala. Okay, so we'll discuss about that from Kerala perspective. There is one article, a clean energy transition plan for India. See, the complete article is not important. Rather, they are providing one transition plan for coal-fired thermal power plants to improve their efficiency. And they are specifically mentioned about HELE technology. What is this HELE technology? That is recently, or we can say emerging technology used in thermal power plants. High efficiency, low emissions thermal power plants, HELE-TPP. Okay, so this technology, we'll try to know about this technology. UPSC is asking such kind of technology which are having bearing on environmental pollution, right? Or this is, we can say that coal is a very important source of air pollution, coal-fired thermal plants, right? So this technology is very important. UPSC asks such kind of questions. We know that coal is going to be the mainstay of our energy mix. So how can we reduce the emissions by using coal itself? This is the technology. And this is being used not only in India, in near future will be used in China also and other countries also. So we'll try to know that from science and technology and environment perspective. Now moving on page number 8, this Bangladesh story is given recently, communal violence. We know about that. Just remember that there was communal violence there, right? Yes, on page number 8, India-UK ties vital in coming decades. Now, UK Foreign Secretary is visiting India. She met with our External Affairs Minister, and she is going to be the chief guest at that Malabar exercise. Yesterday we talked about that. Konkan Shakti exercise. Right? So that aircraft carrier group, that ship is visiting India, right? So yes, at that ceremony she is going to be the chief guest. Okay, so she is talking about the areas where we can have the cooperation, India-UK cooperation. So that's why some follow for bilateral relations between India and UK. Okay, fine. Other news are political in nature. Then moving on, okay, on page number 12, you can directly come to the economy or business page. Energy transition poses inflation risks. Okay, so this is important. We are witnessing the increase in the prices of coal, natural gas, crude oil in the global markets. Also, there are pressures to move towards renewable energy sources. This kind of transition, we can say a kind of shock to the energy sector in the country, may lead to inflationary pressures in the economy. Okay, so how we will try to understand that. This is given by one of the member of MPC, Monetary Policy Committee. Okay, so we will try to know about what expert is talking about. Fine. So yes, what we can say, 2020 World Cup is going to happen, going to start. Tomorrow there is India Pakistan match. Fine. So ultimately we will talk about the result then. Just have follow up that who is winning and all these things. Okay. This is we can say that 4-yearly event, no? That's why it becomes important now for our prelims examination. Yes, let us go into details of all these articles. Development that is mindful of nature. Yes, the article, it is in detail discussing about the recent deluge that happened in Kerala. Due to excess rainfall, it resulted into floods, landslides, and around 50 people died. Okay, so the context is that one. The article specifically deals with the land use changes or land use pattern changes in Kerala that are happening due to increased population pressures. Some facts are mentioned according to census 2011. At national level, population density. What is this fact? 368 persons per kilometer. While in Kerala, it is 860 persons per kilometer or square kilometer, not kilometer. What is that? Per unit area, right? So already there is more population density, and the population in last decade may have increased significantly. That is leading into inflation, or we can say that the pressure on the land. Along with that, we should also understand traditionally in Kerala, we know that the topography of Kerala, some part is hilly area, some part is plain or coastal plains area, right? We call it as Malabar plains. Okay, now traditionally the people lived only in coastal areas, low-lying areas, because the Western Ghats were inhabitable. There was, we can say that, the densely forested area, and there were always difficult for connectivity problem was there. So the mountainous or hilly areas were not inhabited. But due to increasing population pressures, intrastate migration, agricultural land expansion, this has, or even including tourism, this has led to habitation of hilly areas in recent times. That has led to construction activities along the hill slopes. That has also led to construction or infrastructure development activities, especially road building along the hilly areas. For agriculture purpose, the slope modification was being done, and terrace farming or that terracing was continuously being done. So that has led to slope modification, and the topography has changed. It has also altered the river basins and their capacity to accommodate the rainfall. Okay, so all these are, and yes, we can write the deforestation always. These activities are resulting into deforestation also. So this has resulted into, we can say, habitation of hilly areas, and ultimately that is leading to more runoff into the rivers, and we can say flooding of low-lying areas. Further, you can say that the dams that are built across these rivers, right? So they obviously, when there is more runoff and more soil erosion, they will have more sediments. Okay, so the capacity of these dams or the reservoirs to store the amount of water is decreasing year by year. Okay, so these things are resulting into further more floods in the downstream areas. We should understand that the landslides and floods is not only affecting those who are in the upper reaches of the hills. Rather, ultimately that is affecting in the low-lying areas also. Okay, so both are getting affected due to developments in the upper areas, or we can say hilly areas. This thing. Then there is hesitancy towards implementation of recommendations by Western Ghats Ecology Expert Panel. We had earlier talked about this Gadgil Committee, Madhav Gadgil Committee, and it had given extensive, let's say, recommendation regarding protecting the ecology and biodiversity of Western Ghats. It had asked dedicated, protected areas where there should not be any kind of construction, mining activities. Kerala was one of such state which opposed the recommendations. Try to understand this. Okay, so there is hesitancy towards implementation of this. Then need to immediately review two major projects with potential to lower ecological security. The ongoing two projects, one is railway line that is called as Silver Lane. The name of railway line, which directly connects from north to south. The extent of this railway line is there in Kerala. Okay, first thing. Second project is highway widening. National highway widening project is going on. Now this highway, obviously national highway, and comes under the central government ministry, right? So it has resulted into felling of all trees along the roads because of widening of this. Okay, and first thing, this railway line, the article or the writers are saying that already there is, we can say, proper connectivity of, or there is existing rail routes in the state. There is no need of extra rail routes here. In terms of, we can say, increasing the transportation sector, or specifically reducing the hours that are required for traveling, it is not going to have significant impact. Then why there is need of such extra railway line? Okay, so there is need of relook at these two projects. They are going to have significant impact there. Then due to unique topography of Kerala, construction of roads or any structure with north-south alignment involves cutting across valleys and lowlands, impacting natural drainage and overall landscape ecology. I had specifically written this statement here because I want you to imagine how Kerala will look like from north to south along the hilly areas, along the Western Ghats. Can you imagine? Suppose this is the western, we can say, slope. You are facing the western slope of Western Ghats and it is in Kerala. Now how it will look like? It will look like this, no? The slope is like this, no? So if from south to north, if we are building any road or any construction that is happening, is there any straight line, a straight topography? There will be ridges, lowland. Okay, so that's why it is going to change the complete catchment area of rivers. What we are doing here is the completely drainage pattern will be changed here of these rivers. Right, so that's what the technical thing you should understand here, geographical aspect, right? Topography is very different. So valleys and lowlands, we have to cut across them. This is going to impact the landscape ecology. Now what should be the way forward? The articles, the mentions in the conclusion part, it is saying that Kerala is at forefront of human development. We know that how health sector is, health indicators, Kerala leads the country. Okay, so but that does not mean that the human development that is devoid of its environmental impact. This year's Human Development Index had included the carbon footprint also. Are you aware about that? Yes, specifically I need to mention that in the article it is mentioned specifically about that index. Let me repeat that. Yes, it has proposed a planetary pressures adjusted human development index, and this takes into consideration the carbon footprint. That means whatever the human development is happening, that should take into consideration the impact on environment, right? Otherwise it will not be called as sustainable development. So that's why even though Kerala is a progressive state in terms of human development, but the impact on environment is not being considered here. So in future, any kind of development projects or urban planning or any kind of, we can say that even the government policies that are going to be implemented in the country, they should take into consideration this aspect also. Okay, there was one question in mains examination GS1 paper regarding the impact of land, we can say that how landscape or humanizing landscape is resulting into changes in monsoon rainfall. Okay, this is not relevant here, but humanizing landscape. So that word, that means land use change that is being done by human activity. So that can be used by UPSC to ask such kind of question. How it is resulting into, see here the kind of question that we have framed. How far do you agree that environmental disasters in Kerala are happening due to changes in the land use pattern? Discuss. Okay, the framing is same. UPSC asked, how far do you agree that the changes in the land use, human, or we can say humanizing landscape is resulting into changes in monsoon rainfall? Basically it was related to deforestation and then urbanization, and we talked about how urbanizing landscape is resulting into heat island effect. Basically it is contributing overall to the global warming. Okay, even the agriculture expansion is resulting into release of methane gas, which is again greenhouse gas. Paddy cultivation, that is resulting into greenhouse gas emission, methane gas, contributing to global warming. Basically all this global warming is resulting into changes in the monsoon rainfall, climate change. Okay, so we had to link in this manner different human activities, or we can say that humanizing the landscape is resulting into all this. Okay, yes. Now moving on, India-UK ties vital in coming decades. Yes, so UK Foreign Secretary is visiting India and she is emphasizing on these aspects. Yes, that the relation between UK and India is vital over the coming decades, and she is scheduled to be the special guest at the ceremony to mark visit of UK Carrier Strike Group in Mumbai for Konkan Shakti exercise. Okay, that is fine, but yes, how she is, emphasizing the relation between two countries, like India is our great friend. Okay, an economic powerhouse, the world's largest democracy. Our relationship will be vital over coming decades. Okay, once we were ruled by UK and now they want to be our friend. Okay, this is how a country can change its destiny. You can use such statements in your essay paper. Okay, so India has lived its, what our first Prime Minister said on the eve of independence, tryst with destiny. Okay, so yes, she said her visit would boost partnership and pointed out technology and infrastructure, areas of cooperation, you should be remembering, right? Technology and infrastructure. security and defense, and building back after COVID as the areas of collaboration between two sides. So basically UK, let me tell you that it is important for investment, trade and investment. Second, science and technology. Technology transfer, especially again we will talk about renewable energy. European countries are far ahead in that technology. Third thing we should talk about, again the climate change cooperation. UK is going to cooperate with India regarding that, we can say finance also, and related to technology transfer. Then in defense also they are exploring security and defense area. We know that it is cooperating with US. So in future we can expect more growth in that collaborations.
Naval engines, Rolls-Royce naval engines will be coming from here.
We are buying from UK. Yes, already there is cooperation, and in future there will be growth in the defense and security cooperation in this area. Okay, so yes, and then you can talk about the people to people, and then Indian diaspora. It is said that 1/3 population of London is of Indian origin. Okay, so this is very strong diaspora that we have in London or in UK, and that can be used to influence the policy in favor of the country, right? So yes, in this manner we should talk. At the same time, both countries welcomed the progress in delivering enhanced trade partnership. Such specific terms are used with specific countries, right? Enhanced trade partnership. Also, both agreed that there should be need of launching free trade negotiations, free trade agreement negotiations. Like we are starting with Australia. Recently we discussed that, right? There should be early harvest agreement by the end of this year, and by the end of next year we are going to have free trade agreement with Australia. So similar kind of, let's say, free trade agreement negotiations with UK. So they agreed on that aspect also. Now, India weighs net zero target ahead of COP26 at Glasgow, UK. First thing, let me tell you clearly, and you should understand this clearly, what is net zero emission. Many times the terms confused. Carbon neutrality, net zero emissions, different kind of terms are there. They are having different meanings. What is net zero? Net zero means committing to a year beyond which emissions will be balanced by taking an equivalent amount of greenhouse gas from the air. This is net zero.
Net zero.
It does not mean zero emissions. Rather, whatever you are emitting, you should take out from the atmosphere also. That is capture through various measures. Either you increase your carbon sinks like forest, or you can use the technology also, carbon capture and storage, any kind of things. So ultimately that should result into absorbing that much amount of greenhouse gas. This is the net zero. What is carbon neutrality? See here, net zero is about overall emissions of all greenhouse gases. Carbon neutrality talks only about carbon dioxide. It talks only about carbon dioxide of that greenhouse gas. There will be many greenhouse gases, right? So carbon neutrality is a different concept as compared to net zero emissions. Okay, now we will talk about that. Yes, India is weighing the option of net zero climate target during this COP. However, it will demand that developed nations make good their commitments, providing annually $100 billion to developing countries for mitigating impacts of climate change, facilitating technology transfer, and putting in place the tangible market-based mechanism. Three things are there. There will be negotiations and deliberation during COP. India is going to pressurize on these three aspects towards developed countries. First, fund $100 billion annual transfer from developed to developing countries. This was agreed during Paris Agreement or that Paris Summit. Then there is technology transfer aspect, and third is credible carbon market mechanism. We discussed few days back about that carbon market mechanism, right? So this is going to be negotiated during this COP. We should be also understanding that India, being the developing country, it has huge responsibility of development, or we can say meeting the energy requirements of population, its economy, and therefore it will be very difficult to achieve that target. One of the study has found that, see here, a study by think tank Council for Energy, Environment and Water Projects said that for India to achieve net zero target even by 2070, usage of coal, especially for power generation, will need to peak by 2040 and drop by 99% between 2040 to 2060. Do you think that it is going to happen? Already we are going to establish new coal-fired thermal power plants. Okay, because there is a increasing demand of power. We know that the population is growing, economy is growing, and if next 3 to 4 decades are very much critical for development of India. Why? क्यों जरूरी है बताइए? Yes. Why it is important? Because of demographic dividend. एक बार demographic dividend चला गया, उसके बाद कुछ नहीं. Demographic dividend is available in next 30 to 40 years. After that, aging population will be more, and productive working population will be comparatively less than what is need of that development. If dependent population is going to increase, then how we are going to have the sustained higher levels of economic growth? So that's why we are concerned about committing this net zero. Are you getting this? Yes. Now some facts and some arguments mentioned here. Yes, we know that in 2015 190 countries committed limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. This is part of commitment under Paris Agreement 2015. Then countries such as UK, France have already enacted laws to achieve net zero target by 2050. You should remember the examples. Okay, UK, France, US by 2050, and European Union together it has also committed. China has committed by 2060 the net zero. Okay, then this has put pressure on India, the third largest emitter, which has not been in favor of committing deadline. We know that. Then India has maintained that committing to target will require retiring coal plants and fossil fuel use overnight, and even then it will not guarantee that temperature rise stays below 1.5 degrees Celsius. Why? What are the concerns and arguments of not committing it? One thing we understand that economic development of India is required. Other arguments. India considered that it is against the CBDR principle. Common but differentiated responsibility and individual capacity. Climate justice concept, yesterday we talked about that. Day before yesterday. So, how it is, we can say, not justified?
Because developed countries are emitting too much of, means they have used their resources and we are now using it.
Yes.
And sir, they are also not providing a nuclear power plant
Technology. Okay.
Nuclear, we have tested nuclear bomb.
Yes. But I will give you a very good argument here that is mentioned here. Okay, but it is not explained in detail. क्या है ना कि there is concept called as per capita emission. Per capita emission. Now, the developed countries, they are having already less population as compared to India. And per capita emissions of these countries are very high. Even if they achieve net zero, their per capita emissions will be very high. How it is justice then? Are you getting this? In addition to that, they have funds and technology to achieve that target.
They already consumed, sir. In developed countries already consumed and they are in saturation conditions, sir.
Yes.
Again, they are going to be putting conditions on developing countries and low development.
Yes, that's why the real picture is not coming forward. That per capita emission wala concept. Also, you should be aware that even though India is third largest emitter, but it only contributes to 5% of overall emissions in the world. Are you getting this? And why they are pressurizing on India, I don't understand. India may be thinking like, क्यों पीछे पड़े हाथ धो के, हमारे पीछे क्यों पड़े हैं तुम? हमारा तो सिर्फ 5% है ना? So focus on your own countries, no? They are emitting more. You think you should give more commitments. You should achieve those commitments. Then we will think about.
Global Varna system.
Huh?
Global Varna system.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, it is not justice. Okay. So we are good country. We are a moral country. We have always respected environment. This is our traditional ethos. And that's why we are committing this. We are already working on that. जब ये नहीं था ना negotiation, ये सब पहले से ही हम कर रहे हैं, right? We always respect the forest. Whatever the forest dwellers communities are there, they try to protect the forest ecology, right? So this has been there already in the country, and we are moving towards sustainable development. But there is this external pressure on us. India's per capita emissions are 1/3 lower than the global average. 1/3 or 1/3 of the global average, we will say simply. So this is not at all justice. So unless and until there are more commitments by these developed countries in terms of their emission restrictions, second of fund transfer, third of technology transfer, so then India will not commit. So that's why it has not announced already. First it will bargain, then only we will provide that. Now you may have understood what is going on. Okay, yes, again we will see next month what will happen there. Yes.
And which Europe countries are going to be having the power interested people, sir, to control of over the Asian countries, whatever the fast rapid developing countries. That's why any one of the way they are going to be putting in the condition. In development of resources as well as the infrastructure, they are not able to control. That's why they are going to be putting in the one way pollution controlling. Can we say this type of criticism, sir?
Yes, that is correct. Actually, that is implicitly their agenda. We can understand they themselves promote the open economy, capitalist kind of thing. And they will not be able to put restriction on free trade and all these things. They promoted during last 2 centuries this capitalism, and now suddenly they cannot reverse that, obviously. And we are, let's say, benefiting from that. Anyhow, we are benefiting since last 3 decades. To some extent we have benefited through opening LPG reforms and all. So obviously the countries are threatened by the developing fast emerging economies like India, China, and Brazil is there, or South Africa is also there, right? So that's why through these measures they are reducing the rate of economic growth, trying to reduce, we will say that. And they have some kind of moral authority. No, we have to protect our planet. They are giving this argument, no? They are not giving कि नहीं आपका economic development नहीं होना चाहिए, ऐसा तो नहीं बोल रहे ना.
Internal logic, they are going to be stopping the economic development of Asian countries, sir.
Yes.
That's why they are going to be taking as ethical values. They are not going to be reducing their emissions, sir.
that is fine, we can understand, but yes, obviously these international negotiations works on consensus. They cannot force us. This is good thing, na? This is now voluntary. This is consensus based, and we know that the majority of countries are on the opposite side of these US and European countries, because the impact of climate change is going to be more on developing and underdeveloped countries, small island countries, right? So they will be always bargaining with this, otherwise they will not listen to them. Okay, so yes. Moving on to next, Amar falcons in Manipur for annual migration. Okay, so this migration is happening. Winter migration, there are two types of migration: summer migration, winter migration. Okay, so during winter migration, some birds come to the peninsular region also. For example, Siberian cranes are there, right? They visit wetlands along the coastal areas, right? At the same time, we have flamingos. Then we have, let's say, in the northeastern region, these hills, these Amar falcons, they are raptors, varieties of raptors. They are high, what you can say, high space in the what you can say, in the sky. They fly very high in the sky. Okay, so yes, arrival of migratory Amar falcons in the district of Manipur for annual stopover. See the word. It's stopover. That means they are moving ahead. Okay, so where they are going? To Africa for winter. So journey of more than 30,000 kilometers. Are you aware about how these migratory birds travel to such larger distances?
Due to gravitational force, gravity and magnetic waves of earth base, they will travel.
उनके माइंड में कोई जीपीएस वगैरह तो फिट नहीं है ना?
No, sir.
Right. Yes, correct. Actually, it is about magnetic field, not gravity. Will say magnetic field. So the Earth's magnetic field interacts with their, some of the field that is emitted, or the magnetic waves emitted by their brain. Okay, and through that they understand that path. That remember that path. Okay, so this is the reason. It can be asked in the prelims examination. You should be aware about this. Is GK, general knowledge, that you should know that migratory birds.
Sorry, we know that magnetic pole are shifting from some and
Very good.
they will affect.
Yes, we know that last year it was in news that North Pole is continuously migrating from Canada region to Siberia region at very fast rate. And in the past also, the magnetic poles have continuously shifted their positions and even reversed. We know about that. We learned that in geomagnetism, geography part is there, right? So because of this shifting of magnetic poles, in future it is being said that it not only will affect the navigation of, let's say, aeroplanes or ships, rather it will affect the migratory birds also. Okay, so yes. Now the hunting of the bird was punishable offence under Manipur Wildlife Protection Act 1972, and the population of brow antlered deer, that is sangai, locally known as sangai, found only in Manipur stood at fewer than 300 in its natural habitat, Kaibul Lamjau National Park. Kaibul Lamjau National Park. Okay, so these two animals or species information from Manipur is given in that article. About this Sangai or Loktak Lake, where it is found, we'll try to know basic about that. Loktak Lake in Manipur, it is located, or it is, we can say that, one of the largest freshwater lake of northeast India, and it has fumdis. Now what are fumdis? These are dead organic masses floating over it. Okay, and it is Yes, the Kaibul Lamjau National Park is located on one of the Fumdis in the lake. It is the only floating national park in the world. Okay, such kind of trivial information can be asked. Also, it is last refuge or natural refuge of endangered or critically endangered actually. According to IUCN status, it is critically endangered Sangai. It is Manipur bro-antlered deer. Bro-antlered deer. One of the 3 species of Eld's deer are also called thamin. Subspecies है Eld's deer का. Now it was designated as a wetland of international importance in 1990 under Ramsar Convention. Loktak Lake. We are expecting such kind of question now. They have been asking the question on lakes in India since last 3 years. They asked about the artificial lake. Which among the following is artificial lake? Have you seen the discussion? Geography and environment? Yes. So there we had analyzed this. They are asking every year question on lakes. This year they asked saltwater lakes from Rajasthan. Didwana Lake, they asked about that, right? The year before that they asked about artificial lakes, right? So every year, the year before that they asked about reservoirs. So the nature of question, the statement is changing in that they are asking about lakes. So know about such lakes from different parts of the country, and we are expecting now which among the following is Ramsar site or is not Ramsar site in India. There are around now 46 Ramsar sites in India. Okay, so just quickly have a look at them. Also state wise, always prepare all these sites in a state wise manner, in which state they are located. Okay, fine. So next is energy transition poses inflation risk. Okay, so how it results into inflation? Energy transition, basically it is talking about the lack of supply of energy, or we'll say power, how it is resulting into. There is more demand and there is less supply. Okay, this is happening because of, we can say that, lack of coal supply. At present we learned about coal crisis. Then the second is we are shifting towards renewable energy also. Okay, so that is resulting into we can say inflation. How it results into inflation? Can we draw the flow chart here directly? Suppose there is our power supply, or suppose this is now low, we will say less supply, and there is more demand. This will result into increase in the cost of power. Now power is the input cost for manufacturing sector, agriculture sector, transportation sector. Mention that. Increase in the services or input cost. For manufacturing sector, transportation sector, agriculture sector. Ultimately it will be passed on to the consumer through increased prices of final product. Are you getting this? This is how it is contributing to inflationary prices. You should draw such kind of explanatory flow chart. Okay? And this can be asked in the prelims also. You should remember the cause and effect links, how it is happening. So basically it is saying the same. Core inflation is affected by prices of transport fuel and transport services that are directly affected by crude oil price shocks. Basically it is saying that similar kind of thing happened during 1970s. Are you aware about the world history? In world history we learned about this. हो रहा है क्या फाउंडेशन बैच में वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री चल रहा है? अच्छा रिकॉर्डेड वीडियो दी है. अच्छा. Okay. Yes, you learned about oil shocks?
Yes, sir, in our country they stopped now, sir.
No, about
What's
oil shock of 1973. Yes, the civil Gulf conflict that happened.
Kuwait and
Yes.
Saddam Hussein.
Yes. So 1973 oil shock. So suddenly the supply of oil, crude oil to Western countries reduced there. Also the supply shock was there during the nationalization of that Suez Canal 1956 by Egypt. So such kind of oil shocks are problematic. Also we can say that during 1990s also, when the Iraq conflict that happened, US invaded Iraq at that time. So at that time also Saddam Hussein, so उन्होंने क्या किया था, वो सारा कुवैत जला दिया था उन्होंने, सारे वेल्स जो है आग लगा दी थी उस टाइम पे, right? So that had resulted to mini oil shock. तो आपको ये examples पता होने चाहिए, right? You should know about these examples, and that's why we are actually building the strategic petroleum reserves. Yesterday we talked about that. Yes, so all this discussion is related to economy section. Now higher efficiency, lower emissions coal power plants, HELE. So they are being used now all over the world as an efficient, we can say, technology, so as to reduce the consumption of coal as well as reduce the carbon emissions or environmental pollution from these thermal power plants. How it is happening? See, first of all, the potential. At present we know that the coal fired power plants have the efficiency of 33%. Now these HELE, the technology, modern state of art plants with using this technology can achieve rates of 45%, or we'll say that around 40% on the ground in the reality. And one more thing, increasing the efficiency of coal fired power plant by just 1% reduces the carbon emissions or CO2 emissions between 2 to 3%. This is very significant, right? So that's why this technology is going to be very important, especially for developing countries like India and China, which will not reduce the dependence on coal in near future. Okay. Yes, it uses three kinds of technology. One is ultra critical or super critical technology, then integrated gasification combined cycle IGCC, and FBC, fluidized bed combustion. Now it is going to be very important or helpful in the carbon capture and sequestration. It is reducing CO2 emission through this carbon capture and storage. At the same time, using the coal in an efficient manner, that is through efficient combustion technology, we are reducing the emissions. First of all, we'll talk about IGCC, this technology. This uses high pressure gasifier to convert coal or other carbon based fuels into pressurized gas. This is called as synthesis gas or syngas. You may have learned about this in geography also, or you may have come across this term, synthesis gas or syngas. It is mixture of carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide and hydrogen. This is going to be efficient or have the efficient combustion process, right? Then FBC, that is fluidized bed combustion. Now this is efficient and it is going to reduce the sulfur dioxide and NOx emissions by 90%. It uses the technology such as these beds suspend solid fuels on upward blowing jets of air during the combustion process. It leads to efficient burning of these fuels. Okay, it suspends the solid fuels on the upward blowing jets of air during the combustion process. There is blowing air, okay, and that blowing air helps or intensifies the combustion process, supply of oxygen through that blowing. So it, yes, Yes, so that leads to increase in the efficiency of combustion process. This leads to more effective chemical reaction and heat transfer. Combustion takes place at temperature of 1400 to 1700 degrees Fahrenheit, below the threshold at which NOx gas is formed. In this manner, it is reducing the formation of NOx. Okay, so you should remember that this is the environmental friendly technology, eco-friendly technology. Such kind of technology UPSC is asking in the prelims examination. HELE. Okay, now on the basis of above information, what should be answer to this question? Yes. Okay. ठीक है. So yes. Correct statement. Loktak Lake is located in. Remember this. Manipur, not Nagaland. Okay. Then it is famous for Fumdis, floating organic matter. Yes. It is last natural refuge of Shanghai. So 2 and 3 is the correct statement right here. So answer should be B. Fine. Any question? हाँ हाँ.
तो वो मतलब इंडियन ने ऐसा बनाया है कि वो उसके हिसाब से कि बुद्धा ने जहाँ जहाँ अपना एनलाइटमेंट किया, फिर सेलिब्रेशन किया, उसके हिसाब से है.
नहीं, see, Buddhist circuit as a part of India's foreign policy. We have developed this as a part of India's foreign policy, as a the strengthening of cultural relations between the countries in South Asia and Southeast Asia and East Asia, where the Buddhism spread. So this is actually the soft policy that we have. We are promoting economic cooperation through this. It is kind of religious tourism, no? By integrating, building or strengthening the infrastructure by connecting these places. It is located in Nepal also. Lumbini is in Nepal, no? It is not in India. But through connecting these places, basically we are promoting the tourism, religious tourism. Right? So culture or religion is being used for economic cooperation or infrastructure strengthening. So these places are being developed, no? Infrastructure, यहाँ पे international airport आ कुशीनगर में. So this is going to strengthen further economic development of these places and surrounding region.
So Afghanistan also has the opportunity of Bamaya, but they have destroyed mountain carving of Buddha.
Yes. Which school of art belongs to that region? Sculpture. Which school of art? You may have learned. Now you are going to learn art and culture, no? Very good. Which one? Gandhara School of Art. Gandhara School of Art developed in that region, northwest frontier of Indian subcontinent. Right. So the Peshawar region and the nearby Afghanistan region, there Gandhara School of Art developed. These are actually schools of sculpture. And they focused on Buddhism. The sculpture was related to Buddha and Buddhism, right? You will learn that in art and culture. Okay? Yes. Anything else? Any other doubt you have? Okay. So we'll stop. We'll meet on Monday directly now. Fine. Thank you.
Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.